Hey, hope you enjoyed the Back to the Future clip because that's what we're doing. We're going back to the future. And I hope you enjoyed the clip of the two grandkids going down, race to the bottom on their bottoms. And of course, what we found out there was that they went down 11 steps total, didn't they? Okay, first of all, let's talk about some definitions. You have a divisor that divides into the dividend and produces a quotient or an answer. The answer to division is a quotient, just like the answer to multiplication is a product, to addition is a sum, and to subtraction is a difference. But in division, we get a quotient when we divide the dividend by the divisor. Okay, where have we seen divisor lately? We just talked about the Dow divisor, didn't we? And in that case, we said that the Dow divisor, most of you said, was 0.147. And remember, the stocks, when we started talking about stocks, they were averaging on the Dow Jones about 150 per stock, and now they're averaging about 100. So if you do 100 times the 30 stocks, what do you get? That'd be 100 times 30 stocks would be 3,000. And when you divide this by 0.147, you get about, just roughly, in the area of 20,000, which is the Dow Jones Industrial Average these days, which of course is a lot lower than we want it to be. Okay, let's do that simple one of the kids going down on their rear ends down the steps. We had two kids and they went down 11 total steps, we said, because we didn't count the floor for the little one because she took a nosedive to try to get her nose over the finish line first. Those Buhl kids are competitive, aren't they? All right, how do you do long division? So we're back to the future. This is back to 2015 or 16 or whatever, when you were doing long division in school. Well, do you remember that you took the divisor 2 and you tried to divide into the 1? It doesn't go, does it? So that means I've got to divide into 11. So how many times does 2 go into 11? 5 times. This is going to give us an average of how many steps each kid went down. And then what did you do? Didn't you take the answer line, which is up on the top, remember that's the quotient, and you multiplied it by the divisor. So that's 5 times 2 is 10. Okay, not so fast. What did you do next? You subtracted that whole thing. Now, you may not have written that minus sign, but that's what you did. You subtracted the 10 from the 11, and what did you get? 1. Now, notice if you do this where you put the 5 above the second one, because that's where you were able to divide, you're out of room. So now what you have to do is figure out, what do you do with this 1? Some of you say, well, that's a remainder. And that's true. It could be 5 remainder 1. But what it really is plus the 1, which is the remainder, over 2. In other words, it's half of another one. It almost went to 6, but it only went halfway to 6. So it's 5.5. Now, when we write this just numerically, we would write 5.5 like that. And isn't that how we say that? Don't we say 5.5? Do you recognize that that equals 5 and a half? Those are the same thing, aren't they? Well, when we do this with polynomials, meaning when we put x's into the game, we're going to be using the same technique. That's how you do long division. Let's do a little bit more complicated number. Let's divide 31 into 453. And again, you guys can do this. I hope. Make your 6th grade teacher proud. All right, 31 doesn't go into 4, but it does go into 45 one time. So that's 31. Remember, 1 times the divisor, the answer line times the divisor. I subtract that whole thing, and that leaves me with 14. What do I do next? With that 3, I drop the 3 down, and now I'm repeating the process, the same thing that I just did. So 31 into 14 doesn't go, but into 143 goes 4 times. What do I do with the 4? I multiply it by the divisor, and by the whole divisor. 4 times 31 is 124. What do I do with that? I subtract it because I'm repeating this whole process. And what do? I subtract 124 from 143, and I get 19. And I've run out of room. There's no more terms or digits in this case to drop down. So what do I have? I have plus 19 over 31. And that's my answer. Now, by the way, you can always check this. 14 plus 19 over 31 times 31 will give you 453 as a product. Thanks.